All right, everyone, welcome back to another Colosseum Breakout Hackathon workshop. Today we've got Jonas Hahn. He's a developer relations expert with Solana Foundation, where he shares his enthusiasm for building open source games on Solana, deep in development, and tinkering with hardware in his spare time. Today's Jonas is going to dive into the world of gaming on Solana with some insights, tools, and a coding demo to help get you started. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Jonas.
Am I alive? Hello everybody. Yeah, super excited to be here again. I think we did this at least like last year or 2 years ago. So yeah, we're gonna dive into gaming on Solana. So yeah, I've been a game developer for many years, and yeah, the nice Mike asked me if I could do a little workshop here. So I'm very excited to be here again. And there's also a chat here. So if you wanna ask questions, you can just type something in there, and otherwise I will just get started. I have many slides, so but maybe we can skip a few of them, so also some technicals and so on. But yeah, let's get started. If anyone can like say a little hello in the chat so that I know that you're there, or a GM. I think people here do GMs. All right, we have at least one person there. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about on-chain game development on Solana. So this will be an introduction into game development on Solana, and I'm not sure how you're familiar with Solana, so I tinkered in a few things that are just like more general. So what is Solana? Solana is a blockchain with very fast confirmation times, and in dev terms, you can think of it basically just a big decentralized database which custom programs. So you can just upload a program and then you can do something there. And yeah, there you can do whatever you want. You can, for example, deploy a game program on Solana and just use Solana as your backend. And that's kind of an idea that I want to like bring over to you today. This is Solana today. So there's like the 1,300 validators and currently around 5,000 transactions per second. And yeah, this is one of my favorite projects. It's the Helium project, which basically makes it so that you can have decentralized internet. So people just put hotspots in their houses, and then when you want to use your phone, you pay these people that have the hotspots instead of O2 or AT&T or so ever. So, and this is another project that Solana is currently working on. It's called 00. So basically, Solana is building a new internet because the internet, the normal internet, just isn't fast enough. So what they are doing is like they're renting out a bunch of fiber cables undersea and use this to make Solana faster. And why this is important is because for games, of course, you need speed, right? And currently we have around 400 milliseconds, but I'm going to show you later a few things how you can make this even faster. And of course, all these things that currently the core devs are building are very important for this. A few other cool innovative projects on Solana currently, Hive Mapper, for example, where people just drive around and upload their video footage, and then you can have a map that basically updates itself every few minutes. So that's super cool. Render is really cool. They are like decentralizing render, so graphic cards. You can just rent out your graphic cards overnight. Teleport is a decentralized Uber. Then there is Venta, which has like decentralized vending machines. Then there's Solana Pay, Solana Airbnb. Someone could build maybe. I think it's a cool thing. MetaValve is tokenizing real estate assets. Shaga lets you rent your PC to other people to stream. I really want this because I actually want to play Diablo 4 and it doesn't work on my Mac. And then, of course, games. So that's where we are getting in now. So that was a little bit of an intro. So I'm Jonas Hahn. I was a game developer for 15 years. I worked mostly for InnoGames, which is a German games company. I worked on Forge of Empires and Elvenar and Lost Survivors, and I made some indie games. And I also like did some Solana game examples and deepen examples. Deepen basically meaning like the connection between blockchain and hardware. So what we will do today is, first of all, we're going to play a little game together. I hope you're going to join in. And then I'm going to show you or try to explain you why I think that Solana is a good choice for a game, especially just using Solana completely as a backend, as payment solution and backend and so on. Then I'm going to show you all the different dev tools that we have. So we have like Unity and Unreal SDKs and Godot and so on. Then we're going to do a little live coding. I think I'm going to keep this one a bit shorter and instead just show you the Solana Games preset. And then I'm gonna link you to a video where you can try it out yourself, just 10 minutes. And then we're gonna play another little game where you can actually like win a little bit of soul. So yeah, let's dive into it. So first I would like to play this game with you. It's Solana 2048. So you can just scan this QR code here, and you can either play it on your phone or in your browser. And yeah, this one is just to show you the sheer performance of Solana, like how fast these transactions actually are. So, and if you scan this QR code, you will get to the website, so you can play it on your phone or you can play it in the browser. And I think now I talked enough that everyone had the chance to scan the QR code. If you haven't, you can also go to soulplay.de/Solana2048. And yeah, just want to show you this game. So this is basically, maybe you know this already, it's like 2048, but this one is on the blockchain. So every of these transactions is actually a transaction on the Solana blockchain. And you can see how fast these tiles move. And every move here is actually a transaction on the blockchain. And here on the bottom, you can see the average confirmation times. So we have 400 milliseconds. And you can already think about like how many games don't need more than 400 milliseconds. So, for example, anything that's strategy based, round based, but even like something like Clash Royale or League of Legends. So for Christmas, we always play League of Legends, and I had a ping in my hometown of 800 milliseconds, and the game was still kind of playable. So theoretically, if you put in the effort and like have some client predictions, you could put something like this even on chain. Not sure if this is like really feasible, but everything that's like kind of money involved or tokens or so on, and that is round based, Solana can be totally a backend for that game. A few other features here in this game is on the top right, you see the weekly jackpot that's currently ticking up since more people are joining in. So whenever you start a new session here, a little bit of soul goes into this jackpot. And then if you go to the ranking, you can see that the best 3 players every week will automatically get this reward paid out. So you will get 0.4 soul. This is on DevNet, but yeah, there's also a mainnet version. And another thing that you can do is you can select an NFT here. So you can like give it a name and mint it. And then if you select this NFT, then the game state is actually saved in this NFT. So, and then you can see that, yeah, you can, in the high score, you can now have your NFT here. I'm not good enough, so I'm not in the high score currently, but if I would be, then I would have this little pirate ship here. And yeah, that's it about the game. So I saw like a bunch of people actually joined. So yeah, you will at the end of the week we will automatically get these rewards, which are actually paid out via on-chain automation. So this will be one of the features I'm gonna explain you later, how you can achieve something like this that runs automatically on the blockchain. Okay, but enough for the fun. Let's talk about why I personally think that Solana is a good choice for games. So it's performant, it's cheap, transactions cost a fraction of a cent, and the confirmation times are about 400, 500 milliseconds. And recently they became even a little bit faster because there's lots of improvements to the Agave Solana client, and also there's a new Firedancer client, which is a complete rewrite in C. Then you can use it for rewards. So you can reward your players, like you saw. Your motivation is probably higher to get a high score. If you see you can get some money for it, I mean, why not? And then you can also token gate your game. So I could now say like only some people who have a certain NFT are able to join. And I could give out these NFTs at the beginning of a concert or whatever. And then I have the game on a big screen, everyone plays, and then you're gonna meet the person on stage or whatever. I don't know. Then it's composable. So like you saw this game here, actually the reset of the high score is triggered from outside. So it's basically just using the IDL of the program, which is just a JSON representation of the program that is uploaded on chain that everyone can read. So everyone can make their own client for this game. You can make a Unity client, Unreal, there's a JavaScript client, and as long as you have the IDL of this program, you can call it. And then there could, for example, there is actually a few high score programs that I could use. So you can just use this high score program, save your high scores in there. if you don't want to rebuild it yourself. And then you can take your items and use them in other games. So theoretically, someone could now build, like, if someone got 2048 in the 2048 game, then they get double the experience in the Solana Ultra RPG or something like that. And yeah, it's free for all. Everyone can use it. You deploy it once, it will be there forever. So this program I deployed, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago, and it's still there. I don't pay anything for it because the people who do the transactions actually pay the fees. So you deploy it once and you don't have any running costs, which is amazing because I have so many abos of like Versal and Redis and databases and Google Cloud Storage and Azure. And on Solana, I don't need any of this. You just deploy the program and it's there forever. And very nice is also that instead of accounts, you're using your wallets. So I don't need to save like email addresses and passwords, and people forget their passwords and they need to reset them. But instead, they just log in with their wallet, which is their digital identity, and then it's there. Then they are logged in. It's super easy. It also replaces your payment provider. So let's say in this game, the Solana 48, I want to have a premium feature where instead of doubling, the numbers quadruple. And I could just like very easily actually just say, hey, you pay 1 Sol or 5 USDC and you get this boost forever. And then you get double the numbers. This would be a little bit pay to win, of course, but it would be extremely easy to implement. And you don't need on mobile, like you don't need any you don't need to pay any fees. You don't need to implement any complicated payment SDKs. You don't need to pay the Apple developer fees of $100 per year or whatever. So this is really cool. And then on Solana, there's also the decentralized dApp store. So maybe some of you know the Saga phone. I think I have it here somewhere. There's a new one coming out, which is called Seeker. And yeah, with this phone, it's Android based, so you can just take your Unity game and export it for Android, and then upload it to the decentralized App Store, and then you don't have the 30% App Store fees, which makes you way more compatible because the games industry is actually extremely competitive, and if you can save 30% fees, then it's very good for your games company. Then there's an engaged target audience, like the people who are in crypto. There's not so many games. So, and everyone is excited about new stuff coming out. If you build something new, very cool, technical, then that's a really good choice. And yeah, like I already said, like these are the stacks of Airbnb, Uber, and Dropbox. And you can see like how many different things they actually need. So there's like MySQL databases, and then there is Nagios and Git. I mean, I also use Git, but the payment providers and databases and so on. And how you can make a game on Solana is you just take the Anchor framework and Unity, for example. I call it the AU stack. So that makes it super easy out of the box. Multiplayer comes also out of the box. So because everything is public on Solana, everyone can you can just read any accounts. So you have multiplayer out of the box, like this high score that you saw on the game. It's basically just give me all the high scores, all the accounts that are currently playing, and pick the highest one. So everyone can access this. There's very publicly available, transparent data. Like I already said, user management. Yeah. And easy to build. I mean, this is arguably, but for me by now, it's actually easier to build my game on Solana than digging through all the different frameworks there are. For some people, like if someone like comes from Ethereum and doesn't really know the comparison between Solana, so on Ethereum we have a thing called a mempool, where all the transactions go in and then they are processed one after the other depending on the fees. And Solana has the advantage that whenever you do a transaction, you need to put in all the accounts that you want to read or write. And using this special restriction, Solana can actually parallelize transactions. So what you can do is you can have local fee markets. So if now everyone on Solana wants to play Solana 2048, then there would be a problem again. But the fees would not go up for everyone else, but they would only go up for the people who play the game, if there is like a lot of people playing at the same time. So, and then, yeah, this makes Solana superior to Ethereum in this one case. So, do you have already any questions by now? I can like check the chat a little bit. Otherwise, I would now like give you a quick overview on how Solana works. Okay, if you have questions, just put them in the chat. We can also get questions later. So yeah, like I already said, Solana is just a big decentralized database, and everything is an account. Your wallet is an account. One of these game states is an account. Every program that I deploy, I put into an account. And everybody wallet is just a key pair. So you have a public key and a private key. It's called asynchronous encryption, and yeah, it's really cool. So whenever you want to write into an account, then you actually need to make sure that tell Solana that it's your account, which means you need to sign your transaction with your own private key for that account, and then you're allowed to write to it whatever you want, basically. So that's really cool. And so every account can only be changed by its owner, and accounts can be executable, which makes them a program. This is how a transaction looks like. So every transaction can have multiple instructions. It has a recent block hash and a fee payer. So that's the person who pays the fees. And then a bunch of signers, which is the signers that need to prove that it's their account so that they can write to it. Then what happens to a transaction? So now if I have this client and I have a transaction like move right in the game, for example, then we put this into a transaction and we send it to an RPC node. There's many different RPC providers like Triton, QuickNode, Helios, Hello Moon, many more, also some private ones. And these ones then forward your transaction to the current leader. So on Solana, there's a leader schedule. So every leader gets like 4 slots. And in this time, they are allowed to create the transactions. And then the validator says like, okay, I want to put this transaction in a block. He sends it to all the other validators and they say, okay, this transaction looks good or this block looks good. And then the state changes. And then from the RPC node, we can, for example, have a WebSocket connection. And this will then tell our client, okay, hey, the transaction went through. Here's the new tile that we want to spawn in the game. And then you can move it again. So that's a very simplified way of how Solana works. Then this is how tokens work. Like if you're like did something on Ethereum before or something, then you know that you need to like deploy a new contract there every time you want to do a token. On Solana, it's a bit different. You just have the token program, which everyone uses. It's called the SPL token program. And then you create a mint account. This is basically your token. There you have some information in it. And then for every one of these tokens, you can create token accounts for every user. So I would now have a token account for USDC, for example, and there I save my tokens actually. Yeah. And NFTs are actually also tokens. They are non-fungible tokens. Basically, it's the same thing here, just that the supply of the token is just one. Very easy to do actually. And then you can, to these tokens, you can also add some metadata like a name and a picture and so on. So now I'm going to go over the Solana Game Dev tools. I'm going to quickly check if there's some questions. How can I integrate Solana SDK with Unreal Engine? Yeah, I'm going to come to that in a bit. Why somebody will prefer pay commissions per transactions? I mean, you also get a API in background to the game. Yeah, I'm gonna show this later. So yeah, you can either choose to let the people play the transactions, or you can of course also pay them yourself in your backend. I mean, this is your choice. It's just more expensive either on your side or on the side of the players. So first of all, I want to show you basically our docs page that I already opened here. So this is like just an introduction into Solana game development. That's a very good start. So it shows you like a few things that you can work with. Here are all the different SDKs that there are. There's a Unity SDK, Godot SDK, a Rust SDK. I'm gonna go over these like in a bit more detail. But then you can also write your SDKs in your games in JavaScript, Flutter, Phaser, which is also both JavaScript, I think. Flutter is Dart. I have no idea what Dart is actually. It's probably also JavaScript. If someone knows, please put it in the chat. But this is also a game engine. Then here's like how you can distribute your games. So for example, you can put it on the new Saga phone, new Seeker phone that's coming out. Then, yeah, here's a bunch of next steps, like the Solana Gaming SDKs, a little Hello World for an on-chain game, bunch of examples, how you can build an energy system, and so on. This is basically what we're going to build later together a bit. Then let's go back in the slides. So first of all, I want to start with the Unity SDK. I think it's It's the best maintained at the moment, like similar, also as good as the Godot SDK. They are both very well maintained. So yeah, the Unity SDK has a lot of functionality. It has the wallet adapter, which lets you connect to any wallet that supports Solana. It has a session key feature, which is really cool. This is why in the Solana 2048, we actually didn't need to sign all of the transactions because we are using a thing called a session key. So I'm going to explain you later how you can do auto-approving of transactions in multiple ways. There's also Web3 auth, where you can authenticate with your Google address, for example. Then there's just a normal transaction signing, custom WebSockets, which are actually reliable, not like some of the JavaScript packages. Some ZK primitives coming soon. I think this slide is a bit older. I'm not sure if these are still coming or already there. And Solana Unity SDK is maintained by a team called Magic Block. And they are also working on some ephemeral rollup, which makes Solana even faster. So it makes it so that actually you take your state from mainnet, you basically copy it over to the ephemeral rollup, and then you can do super fast transactions on it, like with 20 to 40 milliseconds. And then at the end of your session, you write it back. So this is really cool if you're interested in like making more real-time games. Then this would be your way to go. Then the next one is Solana Godot SDK, which is actually maintained by Tumukas One and Virus Axel. And this one is also very cool. They have a lot of tutorials. So there's like 3 or 4 video sessions over multiple videos that you can check out. They are really cool. And it's also open source, has also NFT support. I think the newest thing that they added is core NFTs, which is really cool. It's a new Metaplex NFT primitive, which makes it so that you can have dynamic NFTs where you can like save certain data on the NFT, like the level and experience and so on. And then the NFTs could actually level up and become more powerful and more valuable over time, the more you play. So Godot SDK, also really cool. Then we have a Solana Rust game engine. This is actually a game engine that is native for Solana, so they completely started building a new game engine from scratch. The maintainer is Yotsansa on Twitter. I think I didn't. Oh, you can just go to make game fast. So it's basically a game engine where you can write a Rust game with like a frame counter and sprites and directly play it in the browser. So this one is also really cool. If you want to try this out, they do every few weeks. They do also game jams. So if you want to try it out, it's still in development, but already very promising. You can also connect it to Solana and have like very fast transactions in there. Then the Phaser SDK is maintained by Blockusaurus, which is a employee of Metaplex. And that's also very cool. So JavaScript based Solana framework. It also allows you to sign and send transactions, and they have bees. So like a picture with bees, that's already a win. Then here's a list of game tutorials. So I will also have a link and a QR code later to these exact slides, which is like a inception. So you can scan the QR code in the slides, and then you get the slides. And then you can like look at these tutorials here. So we have an energy system, we have session keys. I'm going to show you how you can do automation. I think this one is actually probably out of date, the automation one. Then how you can handle big accounts and Solana Pay for games and some advanced topics. Then we have multiple Unreal SDKs. So coming to your question that you asked earlier. So we have an Unreal SDK, which has been maintained by Bitfrost Titan that you can use. And then there is a Star Atlas SDK Foundation Kit. This one is a bit out of date. I think the last time it was updated is 3 years ago. But if you want, if you need a good Unreal SDK, just bug them and ask them to make their new one open source because they use it for Star Atlas. And I'm pretty sure they could like extract some of the things if you're really like interested in it. There's a few more that you can find in the docs. So there's one that by Thux or something blueprint based. I'm not an Unreal as a developer, so I haven't like played too much with Unreal, but in the docs you can find a few different options that you can use. Then I want to show you or explain you quickly, which is like a very cool underused feature, I think, which is like dynamic NFTs. So like I already said, like with the Godot SDK now supports core NFTs. And why I think it's underrated, because I think it's super cool if you have your character actually as an NFT, and the more you play, the stronger it becomes and the more valuable it also becomes. Like a level 99 Frost Mage is of course more valuable than level 5 Rogue. I mean, arguably to the rogue players here, but then you can do something like this with Metaplex Core, which is basically an upgrade to the original metadata NFTs that you just use the token program and core and metadata program. And then there's also the token extensions NFT. So there's a new token program on Solana, the token 22, the token extension program. And with these, you can also have dynamic NFTs. And I made an example here that you can use, which is actually shows you how you can create an NFT and then use the metadata extension to actually level up the NFT that you're playing with. So these two links also very good. Then I want to show you now the Solana Games preset. So this is a preset which actually creates you an anchor program, which is a framework on Solana that makes development easier. Then also a Unity client and a JavaScript client. And now I want to show you these three. Maybe I will quickly jump in here. So this is how the game preset looks like. So you have an app, which is a JavaScript app that you can very easily deploy to Versa, for example. Then you here have the program with tests. So you have a job tree, init player instructions, and you have a game state and a player state, where the game state is global for all players, and the player state is per player. So, and with this preset, you can actually build an amazing amount of different games already, because most of the primitives are there, and you can just go in here and change a few things, or you vibe code your way out of here. Because vibe coding, if for these people who don't know, it's like using AI to code. And if you have already a working project, then it's much easier to add functionality using AI, for example. So, but let me quickly show you this app here. So what this creates you is this JavaScript client here. And I also opened the Unity client. So this is basically just how it looks like out of the box. So you have these two clients, which both interact with the same program. And we have a Unity client for the program and a JavaScript client. And since everything on Solana is connected, it's like public, the Unity client can very easily listen to the account changes. So you can see I'm chopping a tree here, like with my little beaver on the left side. And here in the Unity game, I actually see that a beaver is currently chopping a tree. Same also if I chop a tree here in the Unity client, we can see that actually the total wood available on this tree is going down. And this also implements, like I already said, sessions. So I can revoke the session. And you can see I get a little bit of sol back, and I can create a session. And from then on, after I created the session, I can just sign my transaction with this session. So you can see now here I can chop trees. And if I chop with my main wallet, then I can do the same thing, but I need to sign every transaction manually. So session keys, very powerful feature. And the JavaScript client actually also implements CNFTs. So it uses the Metaplex DAS API. Actually, I don't think it's Metaplex. It's like an open standard for getting NFTs. So you can it's an API which lets you call, that you can just call to get all NFTs for a wallet, for example. I'm not sure why it's currently not here, but maybe it only shows up when it only shows up when you add a Helios or a Triton RPC URL. Otherwise, you're not able to use this API. But yeah, this is the games preset, and with this you can already do lots of stuff. So here it shows you my NFTs in the Unity client, and the same also works in the JavaScript client. So yeah, I updated the games preset today, so it's actually up to date. So you can just use it. And here's also the video that I was talking about, just 10 minutes explaining how the game's preset works. But I don't gonna go through it in this workshop because it's probably easier if you do it on your own pace. And yeah, video is 10 minutes. So next thing I want to show you, let's play some more games, right? Or maybe let's check the chat first. So why somebody will prefer pay commission? I think I already answered that one. Getting started with game development. Thank you, Mike. People don't want to pay fees. Yeah, of course. No one wants to pay fees. If they don't want to pay fees, then you can pay the fees in the backend. So is it possible to bridge from existing, but you also pay for like a normal backend, right? So if you have a games backend and you're renting it out, like Versal, for example, it's also very expensive. It is possible to bridge from existing project on Polygon to Solana to have possibility to pay in Solana and some ERC20 tokens. Yeah, sure, you can do that. How can I interact with smart contracts with Unity? Yeah, you can, for example, start with the game preset, and in the I just closed Unity, but it's basically what you do is you have an IDL for the program, which is a JSON representation, and then you use the Unity SDK to create a C# client out of that. So there is a C# client generator, and this will automatically give you all the functionality that you need for your program, and then you can just call these functions. I'm a founder of Libby Engine, in browser-based 3D engine. We are taking part in Colosseum and open for anyone to join. Yeah, okay, that's a good hint. So if anyone wants to try out Libby Engine, you have Amiro right here. So he will probably help you get started on Libby Engine. I think I heard about this before. Sorry, I didn't put it in the slides. We make a Tekken style fighting game. Okay, cool, nice. Okay, let's get on here. So I promised you that you can like win a little bit of Sol, but I think it's better if I just do a DevNet for now. But so this is a game which is actually using Solana Pay transaction requests. And what I will do now is I just log in here with my Solfair wallet, and I will now scan this QR code. So you can either pull to the left or to the right. So I'm gonna pull to the left. I will just sign the transaction with my wallet. I think I'm not visible currently, but now you can see that actually here on the left side we are now at 2. And if some of you now also scan the QR code on the left side, then you will see that at some point we are completely pulled to the left, and then the left team that like pulled to the left, so it's a tug of war. That team will win 0.01 Sol. So, and yeah, this is of course just an example, but what you can do with that, like imagine you're in a stadium and at a big football game, let's say football game, and you have a bunch of these QR codes on the big screen, and you have like a fleet of ships fighting against each other, and every one of these ships has some of these QR codes, like activating a shield or shooting or something. Then you could like make it so that the left side of the stadium fights the right side of the stadium, and the winning team gets all the rewards. So I think you can like these Solana Pay transaction requests are super powerful, I think, and you can build tons of cool stuff with that. So I wish like some people would try out like building a game that's facilitating Solana Pay transaction requests. The example here is of course open source, and you can try it out, and you can also like ping me if you have some questions for it. Then I want to show you another game. So this one is actually the game that we built, I think 1 or 2 years ago during the boot camp in New York. And this is a pirate game. So if you want to, maybe I can just put this in the chat here in case someone wants to join. So this is a multiplayer on-chain game. Let me log in here so you can see I can move around on this map here. And again, every move is a transaction. You can see the transactions here on the bottom left. And I can now go next to one of these ships, for example, and start attacking it. So now I'm destroying this ship. And when I destroyed the ship, I get actually the tokens which are in this ship. So every ship, when you spawn it, it gets a little bit of coins. And when I destroy one of these ships, I get the coins. And another cool thing in this game, like I told you that you can do a lot of cool stuff with Solana Pay transaction requests, right? So I'm gonna scan this little QR code here on the top left. So, and this one will now tell us, hey, do you want the Cthulhu monster on the top left to fire? And if I approve this, then we will see now the Cthulhu on the top left is actually playing. So what you could build with something like that is like, imagine you have a League of Legends tournament and you have some QR codes on the screen. I mean, this would probably be pay to win or a bit unfair, but you could like have like a lightning strike on the best player and enough people from the audience scan. So I see a few people joined here. So I'm gonna quickly jump over there and destroy that ship. You can also ram the ship. So I can either like shoot at the ship. Oh, he's moving away. And by the way, if you every time a new player is spawned, there's also a chest spawned. So now I'm gonna collect this chest, and it gives me 10 of these pirate coins. And these pirate coins you can actually use to upgrade your ship. And your ship is an NFT, of course. And yeah, the better your ship is, the stronger you are. And then you can theoretically later sell these ships. So if anyone wants to build something like this, it's also an open source example, of course. Yeah, there's multiple tokens. So the rum token increases your health, and the cannon tokens, the more you have, increase your damage. Yeah, I think that's about it for this game. This one has an auto-approve wallet, as you can see here. So basically, you transfer a little bit of Sol into this auto-approve wallet, and then this wallet is actually used to pay for the transaction fees. So it's not using session keys, but in this case, it saves a little wallet in the browser and then uses that to sign transactions. So let's see if that person is able to destroy us. I died. Yeah. Congratulations. And now I can like pick my avatar. So now I could like pick a different ship, for example, a stronger one. Shall we take revenge? I mean, I think we should take revenge. Let's quickly go in here. Oh, wait, no, who was it? It was that guy. Yeah, what I wanted to say, this is basically just another example game to show you what you can build on Solana, and it's not that slow actually, although it's a blockchain. There's another person. I mean, now I want to play, but we should probably go back to the slides. So this is like a little mid stop here to answer some questions and show you some links. Here you can already find the link to the slides. But after I answered the questions, I will now go into more technical things. So let me check the questions here. How we can interact with Smart Libby Engine. Are we going to have the document and repo links? Yes. So you have the QR code here on the bottom is the slides, and the QR code on the top is the docs. I hope. And the hackathon you probably all know because you're all participating in the hackathon already, right? So are there more questions? Otherwise, we will now go into more technical topics. Yeah, we know each other, Jonas. Yeah. I think we are like in a group chat together, right? Okay. Here's some more open source examples that you can just use for inspiration, or you can copy stuff of the code and improve it. There's Sol Civ, which is like a civilization game on Solana, which I played a lot actually. It's really cool. You basically actually build your city, you move around. If you know Civilization, the game, it's pretty similar. You build different buildings, you build units, you fight. And this one is also completely open source. And what I found cool is that this one actually used Git work to implement certain features. So this is how you could build like a completely decentralized game actually. Like you put the source code in, you build the ground game, but then you give out bounties for other people to implement certain features. So this one was, for example, I think the archer needed to have like a range of 2, and then someone for $50 or so implemented that feature, and then it got merged. And I think that's like it's a really cool idea to build a game like that, like build it with other people together, especially in a decentralized world. This one is just like an example for a city builder. It's called Human versus Goblins. And the difference here is that every player plays on the same map. So this is played by everyone together. The interesting part is that on the left side, whatever you build there, you build for the goblins. And what you build on the right side, you build for the humans. And whenever you do something, they are actually fighting each other in the middle of the screen. So this is it's a multiplayer PvP city builder, basically. So yeah, so this is also open source. You can try it out. Then this is an on-chain match 3 game. If you want to try this one out, it's also pretty cool. It's called D's Quest. It also has like NFTs which have different stats and so on. And it's not your usual match 3. It's a bit cooler. So you like have some recipes which actually translate into attacks. That one's also really cool. This is another example game that we built. It's called Ancient Cave. If you ever played Lufia on the Super Nintendo, then you're maybe familiar with this. This was my favorite feature in the game, which was that you start at level 1 again, and then you need to go down certain floors up to level 99, and then you find a super boss. But this one is multiplayer. So you're at every floor, every player can just walk around, kill monsters, and you can also kill other players. And if you kill another player, then you are actually the owner of that floor. And whenever someone goes through your floor, he either needs to pay a little fee or he needs to beat you. So the further you go down, the more valuable it is to just stay around there and either farm fees or like get destroyed by other players eventually. So yeah, it was just a nice little game mechanic, I think. So now I want to show you compression. So on Solana, NFTs are very, very cheap. So like the normal NFTs are still quite expensive, but now we have the core NFTs, which are a bit cheaper because they don't need a token account anymore. And you have the compressed NFTs, which are using Merkle tree and compression. And this is an example we built also like 1 or 2 years ago, which is a 1 million NFT page. And on here, you can actually buy every pixel on this thing as a compressed NFT, and it just costs you the transaction cost, so just 5,000 lamperts. And this Medlex logo here actually has 70,000 pixels, I think. Or no, we have maybe it's true. I think the Medlex logo is like or 60,000, and then the other ones like Soulfare is here. Then we have Stockpile, D's Quest. Remember the match 3 game is here. Then we have Le Autre here. We have like a little mouse and a little snail. So yeah, this just is supposed to show you how cheap NFTs are on Solana these days. Then the wallet adapter is a very important feature. So on Solana, we have a JavaScript library, and the Unity SDK also implements this. And I'm pretty sure the Godot SDK as well, which lets you connect to any wallet that supports Solana. Soulfare, Phantom, Backpack, and many more. And it also works on mobile. So this Unity game that you played, the Solana 2048, also works on mobile. So basically, you connect your wallet, it opens in the in-app browser in the wallet, and in there you can actually connect to mainnet as well. So this just something that you definitely need to know. Then I want to give you some tips on how to increase your transaction performance, because of course, like very important that your transactions land and that they're fast. Since last year, you need to like actually add some priority fees, otherwise your transactions are very unlikely to land. Then you can use a WebSocket connection, which is very fast. So in Solana 2048, for example, how it works is you have your game account, and there's a WebSocket connection that's listening to this account, and it's using Triton Whirligig socket. So, and what this is using the, I don't know, probably going too much into details, but it's using a Yellowstone Geyser plugin, which is like running on the validator. And this one can actually stream your socket updates while the while the block is currently produced. So basically, you send your transaction, and while the block is produced, as soon as it's finalized or processed, the Triton will already send you an update on that account, and you can immediately update the game, move left, right, down. That's why in that game it's so fast. Then you can cache your block hash. Like I explained to you earlier, that whenever you send a transaction, you need a block hash, a recent block hash, because every transaction is only valid for 150 blocks. And if you cache this block hash, you can save it like for a few seconds, and then your transaction will of course be sent faster, because usually like you catch a block hash, which is a round trip to the RPC, then you send your transaction, which is another round trip, right? But if you every few seconds get a new block hash, then you can immediately send out your transaction, which is way faster. I already talked about the WebSockets. Then you can use processed commitment. Processed commitment, there is theoretically the chance that they might get reverted. But if you use a confirmed commitment, there has never been a transaction which was confirmed, which did not finalize in the end. So you definitely don't need to wait for a transaction to finalize on Solana. Then, predict stuff in the client. That's like clear for every game that uses a backend server, actually. But you can predict already in the client. Like if you move forward, you can immediately let the character move. As you saw here in the pirate game, right? I move and immediately the ship starts moving, and I don't wait for the transaction. See, it's moving immediately, although the transaction like takes a few milliseconds to confirm. Then you should use a custom RPC URL. Like you shouldn't use the mainnet public one. That one is just slow. For WebSockets, QuickNote and Triton are really good. And if you want to use webhooks, then Helium's is very good. And if you're even though you do priority fees, you can't lend your transactions, then you can also use G2 bundles and tips. Do you have any questions to lending transactions? How should work the marketing ads after put in production and mainnet? I didn't really understand your question. Then another question, have you got inspiration examples of a card game like Hearthstone? Yeah, there's actually a really cool card game on Solana which is called Soulforge Fusion that you could use, that you could look at. Soulforge Fusion. So this one is a card game on Solana. It's really cool. Check it out. They have also NFTs, which are like your cards, and they are very heavily developing. So they have like constant updates. It's pretty cool. This would be a good inspiration for that, I think. Then, if there are no questions about transaction performance, then I would now explain you how you can do auto-approving of transactions. Like you saw in the Solana 24.8 and in the 7Cs game, you don't need to sign every transaction. And there's a bunch of ways how you can achieve that. So there is, for example, Solflare auto approver wallet. So in Solflare, you can actually say, for this app, I want to auto approve transactions and auto connect. This is, of course, a bit dangerous. Like you really need to trust your app if you wanted to allow auto approving of transactions. But it's very easy. So it's like per app, it's secured by your wallet and it works on all apps. So it's very easy to implement. The app doesn't even need to implement it. You can just like use Solflare for that. But you need to teach the people to sign this up, like how to enable this. And it's a bit dangerous. Currently only works in Solflare. I think Phantom had it as well, but I think they removed it. And this would be cool in a combination with like a burner wallet, for example. Like if Solflare would now do something like, hey, give me a wallet for this game funded with 0.01 Sol and then auto approve. I think that would be a really cool feature. Maybe you can request it from your favorite wallet. Then creating a local key pair is also super easy. Very nice UX. It's used in the 7Cs game. It's basically just you create a key pair in the browser, you transfer some Sol into it, and then you use that for everything that concerns the game. Works for every program. The problem is like as soon as the players clear their browser cache, it would be gone. So, and you know how people are, then they are blaming you for their lost funds. And so I wouldn't really recommend it for production, probably. But it's very easy. It's very nice workflow, actually. So that's something you can use. If you want an example, you can use the code from 7Cs. GUM session keys, I think, are a bit like an advancement on this one because, you still create a session in the browser. It's also a key pair, but it's only valid for a certain amount of time. And you can also close it again and very easily get it back. So this is a very cool feature, I think. And it's like, it's still a bit underappreciated. You can do lots of cool stuff with that. Like you could also use it for smart wallets and so on, I think. Yeah, that's how it's used in that game. And then you can also sign in the background. I think someone said this in the chat earlier, like, hey, I don't want people to pay fees. But yeah, I think in crypto, like if you already have a wallet, then you're also more likely to just pay the fees. But if you don't want to do this, you can just have a backend, just an API. You authenticate your user somehow, like with OAuth or Google login or whatever. And then you just pay the transaction fees for the players. This is how this would look like in JavaScript. You basically just have an environment variable, which is your key. And then you just use that key to sign your transactions on behalf of your players or users in your backend API. Then let me quickly check if there's more questions. No, not yet. Then I want to show you how you can do on-chain events. So let's say in a game, for example, you want to trigger something whenever a player ship is destroyed, right? So that you can do with on-chain events. And there is an event framework by Anchor, which makes it super easy. You basically just create a Rust struct, and you just say, I want to emit this event. And then in JavaScript, you can either use a WebSocket connection or a webhook to listen to these events. So you can just say, program at event listener, my event, and then you get this event, and then you can do stuff. A bit more reliable for this is actually to use a webhook. And Helios is offering these webhooks, for example, probably also other RPC providers. And yeah, I use this, for example, for yeah, you can. This is how you can do it manually. So if you don't want to use Anchor events, what you can also do is you can just create your own events. In this case, they are called game actions. And then in your program, you just have an array of all these game actions or events, and then you handle them yourself, right? You just have this array of events, and whenever a new one comes in with a new action ID, then you do something on that. And then you listen to these account changes, or you index them, you go through all the transactions that interact with your program, and then you can use these. But I want to show you an example. So for example, I have this decentralized bar project I'm currently working on. It's you scan a QR code, and if you pay, then this machine here will actually pump you a drink. And what I used events for is there, whenever someone does a purchase, I have a Helios webhook which calls my API, and then this API actually posts a message into a Telegram group. And this is what you can use these events for very easily, right? So whenever someone like buys something in this bar now, the barkeeper could have be a member of a Telegram group, and then they see, hey, someone at table 5 ordered a drink, and then they just bring the beer there, and it's already paid. So that is a very good use of events, I think. And in games as well, like maybe you want to trigger the Cthulhu to shoot whenever a ship is destroyed. Then you just have an event listener on the ship destroyed event, and then you let Cthulhu shoot, for example. Then randomness on chain. Or are there any questions to the stuff I said before? If they are, just put them in the chat. So you might need randomness on chain, but randomness is a bit tricky. So if you just want like pseudo random numbers, you can very easily do it with just a normal XOR shift. So this is basically just a function that creates your random number depending on a certain seed. And then you can, this is, for example, what's used in 7Cs to define the damage of the Cthulhu that is shooting. Because there it doesn't really matter how random the number is. It just should be a little bit different from time to time. So it's basically just creating an XOR shift, and it's calculating the damage from a random number. Then you can also like seed these random values with like something else that comes into the program. You could, for example, use the current block hash, or you use the hash of the current block hash or something like this. This already makes pretty good random numbers if you just need random numbers. But yeah, you can also use the SHA-258 hash, but we don't need to go too much into these. But these random numbers on chain, which is very important to know, is they are not necessarily secure. Like if you want to, for example, have a coin flip or a game where people can actually win money, you cannot use randomness like that. The reason for that is that someone can just add a different instruction to your program. So he calls like, I want to do a coin flip. But then if he gets heads and he bet on tails, he just adds another instruction to this transaction, which fails whenever he didn't win. And then the whole transaction fails. So also the coin flip, and he can just try again. So that's why randomness on Solana is actually a bit tricky on every blockchain. So and there's some solutions to that. There's the solution is to use an oracle. So basically, you say, hey, this person wants to flip a coin. You write this into an account, and then you call your program yourself with a random number or with an oracle solution, and then you settle the trade, and then he gets the money or doesn't get the money. That's the only way how you can have secure randomness on chain. And there are some solutions for that. Magic Block has a VRF solution that they recently released. Then there's Switchport, and then there's also Orao VRF. All these links to these you can find here. How it works is you request a random value, and then you get a CPI into your program. So basically, you just call your program again, and then you have a proper random value, and then you can consume this random value. Here's some more resources, XOR Shift explained, and a tutorial in Solana Playground. All right, I think there's a few more questions, and we are almost out of time. So triggering events does not need signing a transaction. The triggering of the event is within the program. So basically, when you call an instruction of your program, within the program, you can trigger an event. And to trigger the program, you, of course, need a transaction. So you need to sign for that transaction. How is it possible to destruct an adversary ship unit represented by an NFT? Oh, it's not really the NFT isn't destroyed. It's just like the ship is destroyed, but you basically spawn the same ship again. Actually, it's getting quite full here. Maybe we should destroy a few more ships. So let's destroy this one, and then we can collect some coins, and then we can actually upgrade our ship. I was just looking into ephemeral. Yeah, how was your experience with ephemeral? Magic Block is doing a good job there, I think. I think it's a very interesting concept because it doesn't fractalize your state. You can still do all token stuff on mainnet, for example. I haven't done too much with it myself, but I think I deployed something to their DevNet once. Okay, I think we are running out of time, so if you have big accounts, you can box your accounts if you're running out of stack space or use zero copy. There's multiple automation things that you can use. For example, Helium Tuk Tuk. Clockwork is deprecated. Then here are some outlooks for the next year. So I think there will be more dynamic NFTs with using core and token extensions. I think someone will come up with some kind of ZK login and passkeys, which makes it easier. Then transaction speeds will be faster, block times will probably be slower. I think there will be some strategy games, but I predicted this last year already, like Ethereum had, like the knife game, for example, or the spy game. But no one built this on Solana yet. Maybe there's not the product market fit. And I think there definitely will be more vibe-coded games. Now let me find the slide again with the QR codes so that we can end. I think here it was. Yeah, so I'm gonna end on this. I will stay a minute more to if there's more questions. But beside that, thank you so much everybody for joining, and I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat now. But I think the live stream we gonna end right in time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Jonas, just saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time today to share. That's a lot of knowledge. Hopefully someone's going to build some cool games in the breakout. And just thanks again for taking your time. If you have any questions, just reach out to Jonas on Twitter. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer.
Have a good day, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.